Hello and welcome to session 3 of the ScriptDoll office hours, where we talk all about copy. We're copy nerds ourselves, and every week we pick a session or a topic to talk about, and it has to do with some aspect of copywriting. So let's get into section 3. We are really excited. We have a lot of great stuff planned for us today, and let's dive in. So a little introduction here. We're not going to spend too much time. I'm here with head copywriter Kayla McDonald. Say hey, Kayla.
Oh, hey.
Hey. And I'm speaking right now. My name is Debbie Drum, and I am the head content creator at Fearless Social and at ScriptDoll. So, what exactly are we covering today? We are going to be covering how to utilize the structure of a well-written sales letter and, of course, ScriptDoll to cater to what you are selling and who you are selling to. So, just a little overview of what we're going to be covering today. We're going to be covering 2 elements of a high-converting sales letter, and also elements of a ScriptDoll sales letter, which is also high converting. Changing the elements of a ScriptDoll sales letter, and really any ScriptDoll or sales template that you might use. So changing that in general for your story. We're going to cover a case study that I did with one of our templates inside of ScriptDoll. We're going to cover different markets and different rules for selling online, okay? Because things work a little bit different in different markets in the online realm, okay? And also hot and cold traffic and what the difference is and why it matters. So let's jump in right now. So first, before I kind of get into the meat of the presentation, I want to give a little intro to who the heck am I and why the heck you should even be listening to me, okay? So I am like most of you. I am not a copywriter, okay? I was not born into this I am world as a copywriter, but I am a marketer, and first and foremost, and I did 10 years of outside sales prior to doing anything online, okay? So at heart, I'm really a marketer who, quote-unquote, gets by on writing my own copy. And I've gotten by for many years without ever paying thousands of dollars to any copywriter that I've outsourced and had copy written for me. Never done that. I just felt like I had to, like almost with everything on my online career, I felt like I had to figure it out on my own, okay? So I bought expensive courses, probably like many of you, bought expensive courses, studied my butt off, studied and studied until I never perfected my copy. It just kind of never happened. Like I never had a structure. I am an information product creator. I like to create products. I like to write. And as many of you know, and you are creators as well, but at the end of the day, you have to package up your product, right? And you have to be able to sell it. So that's the problem that many people have, and it's the problem that I've had as well. But currently, the copy that I write, without actually having any structure prior to now, converts anywhere from about 17 to 35%, which is not too bad. And I'm pretty happy with those results. So I'm just going to take you through the journey because, like I said, I'm kind of just like you, and I get by. So with the help of having templates and the help of having more structure will allow you to sell even better and have higher conversions. So it's time for a little bit of audience participation. Okay, so get your chat box open, your question box open, and I want to ask you, Should you use the ScriptDoll template, or any template for that matter, as is without changing it at all? What do you think? All right. Starting to get a lot of feedback here. Awesome. Keep typing away. Awesome. Great, great. I love the interaction, guys. Thank you for that. So no, I'm getting a lot of no's. Some it depends. Some yeses. So some we have to check it out first. Okay, awesome. All right. So the answer is kind of yes and no. Some of you are on the right track, right? But definitely, if you're using a template, that should already be good enough to kind of get you on the right track, which is what ScriptDoll aims for, right? But adding your own taste and your own flavor to a template is what's going to make it even more better, okay? So, and that's kind of what we're going to get into today in a little bit.
I think one of the things too with adding your own element as well is as you're trying to build a brand, either around a specific brand or maybe it's a personal brand, when you go through and you add your own elements to a sales copy, it puts your personality into it, and that allows your customers to get to know you a little bit better down the road and relate to you more. So that's another big reason why you want to put a little bit more of your own flair into anything that you're putting in front of your customers as well.
Absolutely, for sure. So last time we discussed an element, right? I call it an element of a proper and well-structured sales letter. So last time we talked about, right, Kayla, we talked about features, benefits, and advantages, right?
Yep.
So another type of element of a sales letter is your headline and your subheadline, right? So I have this example on the screen, but this is not our focus today, okay? The focus is specifically on two elements of the sales letter that we're going to talk about today that you should aim to try to customize as your own, okay? So first is kind of part one, right? And people call this, you don't have to call it elements, you can call it like a structure or a sequence, whatever it is, whatever you feel comfortable calling it, right? I don't know if there's like a formal name to it, but part one we're gonna just call the part where we talk about how we're stuck in a rut, and then we want to identify the problem. Okay, so here's just an example of a part one of the stuck in a rut / identify the problem. Part two of another element of a sales letter is the part where you're actually establishing authority / like your introduction, like who am I, like I did kind of in the beginning of the presentation, right? I said, who the heck am I and why should you be listening to me? That's kind of me establishing my authority here. So that's exactly what you kind of do in your sales letter. Kayla, do you have any extra to kind of add to this part?
No, I think like you kind of hit the nail on the head, and I think your example is definitely a great example of how you want to establish your authority, but you always want to bring yourself kind of back down to the level of your customers, right? So, yeah, no, you nailed it.
Yeah, it's funny because like I was like crying to Kayla one day. I'm like, Kayla, I don't even know like the parts of the sales letter, and she's the one that actually told me these elements. So, This is, and it's so crazy how once you clearly define it, like you might even be doing it already, but once you like clearly define it, it just makes so much more sense, right? Okay, so let's get into the actual case study that we did. And just so you guys know, like an average person, right, who starts, let's say they start to venture to make online sales, right? They're probably going to write copy that converts about, I don't know, like 3 or 4%, okay? I wanted to do a test just using straightforward ScriptDoll sales letter for one of the products that I was going to sell. And just by leaving that sales letter kind of as is, with very, very minor changes, it was converting at a hot 10%. Now that's pretty darn good. Okay, that's well above average. But obviously,
extremely good.
What's that?
A 21% conversion rate is a great conversion rate.
Exactly, right. I mean, that's, if something's converting at 10%, especially if you're just starting out, or you know, or sending like cold traffic, whatever, that's really good. But I wanted, of course, I had some time on my hands, so I wanted to see if I can get a little bit better than 10%. So what I did was I made some changes and got that number up to 21%. And I'm going to tell you guys what exactly I did, all right? So how and why did this happen? Okay, so this isn't like let's dissect Debbie's copywriting day, so I'm not going to tell you guys where to find this stuff at all. I'm just showing you certain sections of the sales letter. And the side on the left, I haven't had enough drinks today for you to dissect my copy, Kayla, so we'll save that for another day, okay? So the side on the left, I left it as is, and that was the side that was converting at 10%. And then I made some changes really to only those two elements, guys, that I talked about earlier. So the part one and the part two, the authority part and the identifying the problem part. I really just switched things around, reworded some stuff, and that's all I did, I promise you. Like, there are other elements of the sales letter that we can talk about and probably will talk about at another time, like bonuses, like your offer, like testimonials, right? We're not going to talk about any of that today because the truth is that I only tweaked with those two sections, and that's why it's really exciting, because it's not a lot of work to just change a couple of things around, right? So the point is that I kept the basics intact, okay? So let's get into 5 ways that you can change the script, right? I'm trying to make this as general as possible because I know that some of you are not using ScriptDoll yet, and I want this to be able to apply to you as well. So maybe you're using another template. Maybe you, I don't know, you've made your own template, whatever it is you're doing to get by with your copy. But why don't you type in the chat box right now just so we can kind of have a feeling of who here uses ScriptDoll and who doesn't. All right, so a lot of
It's definitely important. Yeah, I mean, and just for people, whether or not you're using ScriptDoll or not, these are just really important things you should know anyways, because I've been writing copy for clients well before ScriptDoll was a thing, and these are all definitely things that every time I was writing a sales copy for a client, these are all things that I took into account. So whether it's a ScriptDoll generated copy or not, these are all things you always want to be keeping in mind as you're writing copy. So exactly. All right, so we got a lot of people are ScriptDoll users, which is awesome because you're going to be able to take this and run with it because you already have ScriptDoll. Awesome. Just looking at some of the responses. Thanks, Dr. Johnny. He or she said that we're fun to listen to. We do our best. Awesome. All right, so let's get into specifically 5 ways to change the script to make it your own. And this is exactly what I did. I followed these exact guidelines. So number 1, it's your story, okay? The best stories are told when you kind of just forget the rules. Like you almost like forget the grammar. You just write like you would talk to a friend. I mean, those are some of the best books I've ever written, some of the best articles I've ever written, where I just like threw away the rules and just kind of you know, typed freely as if I was talking to my best friend. And that's exactly what I did
in my copy, I was like, and the specific product was about Facebook, and I talked about how in the beginning, you know, I was struggling. I was so scared that I was going to lose my shirt paying for advertising, and that was all true. So those are the types of stories that you want to tell, those true stories, right? Those stories are honest. They're straightforward. They're straight to the point, and they show emotion. And the great part about all this is that people see that right away, and they feel it in your words and in your copy, okay? So that's the first thing you want to do, is you want to integrate your own voice inside of that copy.
A really good way to do that, because I know a lot of people panic about, you know, a lot of people are just like, oh, I'm not a very good writer, like, I don't know how to write, nah, like, you know, and I actually talk a lot about how your high school English teacher is probably your worst enemy, because you probably wrote essays and formal letters and maybe you didn't do so well, and that's kind of scarred you for any kind of sales writing you're trying to do now for your own products. But the thing is that it's actually a lot harder if you come from any sort of academic background. I found for me, coming from an academic background into writing sales copy, it was a little bit of a transition for me because the rules aren't nearly the same. It's a lot more conversational, and you'll find that your copy is much more relatable to your customers when you do write in a conversational style. And like Debbie said, you do forget about the rules, and you can start a sentence with "and" if that makes the flow a lot more, you know, come off the tongue a little bit easier. And one of the ways, too, as you're writing your story, like Debbie was talking about, is if you speak out loud as you're writing. And you know, if you're telling a story, speak out loud and then write what you're saying. That's a really good way to adjust your writing style so that it does come off as conversational. And then read it back to yourself what you've written, and you know, does it come off the tongue easy? Does it sound like this is what I would, when I'm telling a story to a friend, is this how I would tell it? So you don't have to panic too much about the actual writing portion and you know, scare yourself into thinking you're not a good writer, because you are. You know, we all, you know, converse with people just fine. So, and that's how you want to, that's a huge basis when you're writing your sales copy. So
yeah,
hopefully that helps.
Even like if you just start out just like writing freely, like knowing that it's not going to be the final version of your sales letter, that's fine, because sometimes the stuff that you write, like, you know, just when you just think, okay, this is not the final copy, that'll end up being the final copy, because you know, you spoke with that emotion and you're just going to go with it, and you're just going to see if it works. So it's good to kind of test that stuff out as well. You can always have a backup copy, and that's what I did too. Just kind of want to stay here for a second. If you guys want to know the process that I did with my 2 sales letters, I kept the first one intact, and it's really important. And the more you do sales letters, you're gonna want to do this as well. The first one, I didn't go ahead and start like changing and, you know, panicking. I simply made a copy of that first sales letter that I wrote, and then I changed the second sales letter. And then what I did was I ran a split test against those 2 versions, so to really see which one was getting more conversion. So try to keep your first draft intact, you know, when you're doing this, so that you could kind of see the transition. And then later on, when you're doing another sales letter, you can go back and say, hey, what worked, what didn't work, what should I keep the same, and what should I change? Okay. Number 2 is sub-headline change-ups. Now, this is something that absolutely freaks me out all the time. Another crying session to Kayla, of course, because I don't know anything about sub-headlines, like how to use them correctly. And this is something that we're actually, you know, we have plans to focus on sub-headlines, and so that just so that we can add some more variety for ScriptDoll users. And as you can see now inside of ScriptDoll, you know, you can mix and match and change stuff up, but don't be afraid to make those changes. So I don't remember one of the sub-headlines, even inside, you know, some templates where I'm like, you know what, for me, I know I would never say that. I just don't feel comfortable writing that. So I just simply made a change, and it I don't know if it affected my copy or the results in the end. I don't know if that was the one thing, but to me, I felt more comfortable making a change and saying something how maybe I would say it versus, how somebody else would say it. So obviously, the more templates that we add, the more you can go in there and pick and choose kind of what you feel more comfortable with, right? And you can also customize it to your own comfort level, so which I just kind of talked about. So, and you could try different things. Like, this is a subheadline that I used in my copy. Don't let this moment pass you by. You'll be kicking yourself if you do. Okay? So that is nowhere inside ScriptDoll or any template that I've seen. I don't know, Kayla, if you want to comment on this subheadline, but I went with it. It kind of worked for me, but I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, like you don't want to overthink things, and it's really easy, like I said, to be your own worst enemy when you're writing sales copy. You want to try to write things that just kind of come off the tongue and feel comfortable for you, because kind of like I was saying earlier, when you're creating a brand, whether behind a company name or whether it's your own name, you want your sales style to be consistent so that customers get to know you. If you think of any brand off the top of your head, they all have a pretty consistent style in the way that they communicate with their customers. So just go with whatever feels comfortable for you. It's going to help customers get to know you and your brand and make you feel a little bit more relatable to them as well, right? So yeah, like Debbie, by you putting your own flair on these things, that's definitely going to help other people feel a little bit more comfortable. And the other thing too is that it's very it can be a bit of a turnoff when people just feel like they're just being sold to, right? Like you read copy and it's like, oh, this is the next best thing, and people get really like hypey and salesy and stuff. And as a copywriter, like I've worked really hard to make sure that my style, whether it's writing something for something I've created or for a client or for Ben or whatever, like I try to make sure that it sounds very conversational, because when you think too hard, it will read to your customers as being too hard of a sale. So by putting your personality into it, it softens it a little bit and doesn't scare them away. So
awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. You guys want to see number 3 on how to customize templates? Let us know, because then we will move on. Awesome. Thanks for the feedback. Woohoo! All right. Cool. Let's go ahead and jump in number 3. Last week we talked about features, benefits, and advantages. So if you need or feel the need to add more than what the script defines, then feel free to do that, or even less. So, I mean, I think what's in ScriptDoll right now is perfect, but sometimes we have, a little bit more to say that might bring someone over the edge. But of course, and which we talked about last week, and if you missed last week's session, you could always go to scriptdoll.net and go to the blog, and you'll see that we have it in there. But we talked about not having too many features and benefits. And features and benefits are usually in bullet points throughout your copy, okay? Also, when you are transitioning your copy from ScriptDoll, right, into your Word document, feel free to add little, like, personality things in there to spice up your copy that maybe you didn't think of inside of your template generator or whatever you're using. A lot of people here are using ScriptDoll, but maybe you didn't think about it inside of ScriptDoll. You're like, hey, well, maybe if I added this one little thing, it would spruce it up and just make it a little bit, more, just like put more pep in it. So some examples are, this is the one thing that worked for me and has made me $1,000 in 30 minutes. You could just like make little comments like that in quotes, or you could put it in parentheses, things like that you might not have thought about in the script generator. And again, don't be afraid to be bold or funny or really show emotions in this section, because I know that Kayla could talk a lot about this, is that a lot of people will scroll right down. I know I do this all the time. They'll scroll right down to what is inside of the product, and that's usually the features and benefits and advantages section, because it's usually in a bullet style. And if you read a lot of sales letters like I do and Kayla does, and I'm sure a lot of you know that you want to see you scroll down and you go to this section, the features and benefits, and I'm telling you, one thing that you say in a bullet could be the one thing that gets people over the edge to buy from you, right? So, can everyone hear me?
I think you might have cut out there for a quick couple seconds.
Can you hear me now?
I think we're good now.
Oh, you hear me?
I think we're okay.
All right.
Yeah.
We're okay. Good. Do you know where I cut? All right. Do you know why I cut off? Because I said a lot of good stuff there, you guys.
It was just like your last couple sentences there. So if you want to just repeat kind of what you just reiterated for everybody, I think that would.
Awesome. Okay. So I was talking about how people kind of visit, that people visit sales letters and they kind of look at the top, they skim through down, and a lot of times, I know I do this all the time, is that I go to where the bullets are, right? What am I going to get out of this product if I buy it? And a lot of the times, one or two things that I read in the bullet section is going to be the thing that's going to make me buy, right? So while the whole sales letter is important as a whole, like your headline's important, this section here, you're going to want to add these little things, because one little thing, one little word, one little phrase can get someone to press that buy button. Can you attest to this, Kayla?
Oh yeah, definitely. I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with skimmers, because I work so hard on a piece of copy to know that most people are going to skim through and not read everything that I put into it, but that's okay. I do it too. So, but yeah, no, a lot of people are going to skim, and unfortunately you do have to cater to them. So having, your features and benefits list, and then putting these little tidbits in that are going to catch their eye, are going to draw them in and help them, read the important part of your product. Because at the end of the day, the features and benefits really is probably the most important selling point of your sales copy, right? So putting those little personality add-ons are key for grabbing their attention.
Absolutely. I love doing that too. It's kind of fun, and you're kind of testing people too, right, to see if they're reading what you write. So if somebody writes you in your support desk and you're like, hey, and they're like, oh, I saw what you wrote, that was funny. You're like, wow, people are actually reading that. Okay. So don't be scared when you're doing your bullets, because something will always come to you. And this is probably like one of the first things I start to tweak and add to get conversions up in my copy. So, and we talked about this a lot in depth last week. So you won't beat this one to death, but this is a good thing to kind of go ahead and start changing if you want to see your conversions go up. Number 4 is personality tidbits, and we're going to talk about hot and cold traffic in the next couple of slides, but this is also adding to the personal kind of elements and your story and things like that, because it really depends on what kind of traffic that you're sending. So if you're sending like warm traffic or hot traffic, that's like maybe from your subscriber list or people who know you, then you could say things like, you can make statements like, no one ever refunds. The only time I ever get a refund is if somebody actually purchases twice by accident, right? So these are the things that you could say because you're already kind of talking to people who know. I mean, you could say this, I guess, to a cold audience too, because that will add authority, I believe, to your copy if you make phrases like this. Another phrase or something that you can do is say, those of you who know me know that I always over-deliver and hook you guys up. So these are things that you can say as you get more comfortable selling online, and if they're true, that's even better. You know, it's just adding to that personal story, and you know, just getting kind of comfortable with what you're writing and having that boldness and that confidence to write things like that and not be scared. And finally, still part of number 4 is adding your heart. Okay, so this is on top of even all the emotions that you're saying in your copy. It's adding heart, and I think, you know, the person who does this really, really well is Dr. Ben. Like, I think in every single webinar I hear him, he like pours his heart out, and he really cares, and that's what you need to convey in your sales letter to get people to really trust you, believe in you, and know that, you know, you have their best interest in mind. And you know, and that all comes with adding your story, your personality, and just saying things more confidently in your copy, and even saying things like, you know, I'm here to help you. I want to do everything, you know, on this webinar today, so that you don't leave this webinar being confused with how to change up your ScriptDoll copy, right? So this is so important, and again, people will see this, will feel all these emotions in your copy, what you're writing.
I think on top of just kind of going with this whole theme is also kind of adding honesty in. Is a lot of people feel a little bit afraid to be overly honest about, you know, maybe why they're offering a product or whatever. If you are familiar with ScriptDoll, you'll actually notice that one of our templates, I think it's one of our video sales scripts, Debbie, I don't know if you know the one I'm talking about, but sometimes when you're offering a product with a solution, one of the obvious questions that people have is, okay, well, why are you sharing this with me? Why, if this makes you all this money, are you going to share it with me and let the world know how you have this like secret way to make $1,000 in a day, you know? And one of the ways we in writing sales copy is to combat is just by being kind of bluntly honest. And one of our sales templates even says, you know, we're offering the solution because we want to make a little bit of money from offering the solution to people. Obviously, you know, it's a great resource for people, but being honest about your intentions with everything is also a really great idea. Another way that kind of honesty can really help you is if you have a brand new product and people are kind of wondering, you know, why are you releasing this? Well, it's a brand new product and I want to get some testimonials out there, so I'm offering you a discounted rate or whatever. You know, this is the kind of stuff, and people are afraid to say things like that and put heart and honesty into their sales copy because they're afraid it might scare people away, when really putting that level of personality into your sales copy is actually going to make you a lot more endearing to people, and they're going to feel a little bit closer to you when you're just, you know, bluntly honest. It's much better than being, you know, that kind of stereotypical used car salesman that sounds like he's got an answer for everything that isn't actually his real intention. So yeah, like putting heart and honesty into your sales copy is huge for relating to your customers.
Yeah, and our goal today is to make you guys cry. So hopefully we're
real emotional over here.
We're getting emotional today.
It's a special kind of day.
Let's get into the next one, which is number 5. And I think this one is killer, because when you add video to whatever you're doing, that's like the ultimate customization factor, because it adds a completely new element inside of your copy, right? So instead of people just reading your words, they're hearing your voice. They're hearing, you know, the inflections in your voice. They're hearing that, you know, I care about you. They're hearing all those sentiments and all those emotions and the excitement even of whatever it is you're selling. So I know that we just did like a contest not too long ago, and we really loved how one of the contestants actually, it was a ScriptDoll contest, and we were kind of judging people based on how they used ScriptDoll and changed it up and everything. And one of the contestants actually used both the long form sales letter and a video sales letter in one copy. And I loved how that was done because it just, added so much more to what was being presented, and, it added clarity, and it just takes things to a completely new level when you're adding video. Does it take a little bit more work? 100% it does. But it really, it adds that other layer, and it's why, video really works so well now. So, got any
Video. Yeah, actually, I was going to say, I agree with almost everything you say, but video doesn't always add more work, actually, and this is kind of deceiving for people because you think, I know what you mean, Debbie, it adds a little more work because not only do you have to create a script, but you also have to edit the video, or shoot the video, edit it, and all that stuff. So in that sense, it creates more work. But what a lot of people don't necessarily realize is there's a little bit of an added stress when you're just writing and using, the written word as your medium, because you have to be very careful about word choice and whether or not, because you don't have any other social cues to tell people what you mean. So if I'm talking in this voice that I am right now, you guys can tell I'm really excited about what we're talking about. Whereas if I'm sitting here like this and I'm pretty much saying the same thing, it doesn't sound like I'm very interested. And you guys can pull that from the tone in my voice. So when you're trying to portray tone in written word, it takes a lot more effort to consider what word choices to use because you don't have any other social cues. Whereas when you have the element of video on your sales page, people can very much, you know what I mean, like just through the tone of your voice, pick up on things like that. So in that sense, it's actually a little less stressful on you if you're not maybe the best writer in the world, but you know how to portray tone and portray excitement and sadness and whatever through the tone of your voice. So in that sense, it's actually really not that much more work. So when we create a sales page that actually has a video on it, I get really excited because it's a lot less stressful for me. So, I'll write the video script and send it over to Ben, and, he kind of gets where I'm adding the emphasis, and it's a lot easier. So in that sense, like, definitely don't be afraid to use video on your sales pages because, it gives a lot more to your readers to relate to you. I hope that makes sense. I kind of went on a little tangent there, but.
No, absolutely. Definitely. Sorry, sometimes the lazy part of me comes out. Be like, yeah, it's more work. But no, I totally see what you're saying completely.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's a little bit more work because you do have to shoot the video and stuff, but in a way, it takes a lot of stress over word choice and all that kind of stuff that comes with writing sales copy and putting written word on. So in that sense, it's not necessarily a lot more work. So depending which way you look at it, anyways, just another way to look at it.
I mean, you don't have to do this all the time, and I know I definitely don't do this all the time, but some marketers do it all the time, and it just depends again on your comfort level and also what you want to test out as well. So let's say a lot of marketers start out with a video, right, and then they have like an exit pop-up that goes to the written sales letter. That's another tactic and strategy I see all the time that people use. So, it's whatever you're comfortable doing and what you want to try, and obviously your time as well, how you want to spend it, and if you want to go the extra mile and do that video as well. So, cool. All right. So those are the 5 customization factors, and obviously we can go on, but you don't really have to go too crazy, and just adding these simple little tweaks will get you better conversions, 100% guaranteed. Okay, so a little bit of a warning here, and the warning is what not to change. So I mean, if you're just starting out really and you're not very familiar with writing copy, as many of us aren't, as many of us are just getting by, right? You do not want to change the structure, right? So I know with ScriptDoll, there is a method behind everything in the templates that we do. There's 100% method. So if you go ahead and you change up the structure completely, you're risking really losing sales, okay? So even leaving the ScriptDoll template as it was at 10%, I would rather just leave it than change up the whole thing and then just have it be a complete mess with no structure of a well-converting or a great converting sales letter, okay? So everything that we have inside of ScriptDoll, and hopefully you have that in other places if you are using other templates, is like the formula of how to sell online. I don't know if you guys caught yesterday's webinar that Dr. Ben did with the 8 fists. I forget exactly what the title was, but those are the 8 elements, the 8 things that you need in every single time that you sell something online. Okay, so changing that structure can cost you a whole lot. So don't go off on tangents. Don't go too far off the path. You know, we want you to tell your story. We want you to personalize, but if you start changing too much, then you're getting into the danger zone a little bit. So, you know, if something's not working inside of your copy, let's say you've done all this, you've added bold statements, emotion, everything that we just talked about, and your copy's still not converting, well, maybe then it's not your copy. Maybe you don't have enough testimonials. Maybe you don't have enough bonuses. So there's other factors that go along with conversion here, okay? So don't get too crazy with changing everything up if something's not working for your copy, because there might be other things that you have to kind of tweak, which we'll talk about in later sessions. But for right now, just this is just a little warning, just not to change too much.
Well, you guys will notice too, this is just kind of going beyond the walls of ScriptDoll. If you look at any kind of sales advertisement, they all follow a very specific order, like a very specific psychological order, and they're meant to put you in a certain mindset one after the other so that it eventually guides you to that, yes, I want to buy this. And it's not just found inside the ScriptDoll templates. It's found in a lot of different sales copy and, you know, commercials and advertising and everything else. So when Debbie's saying, you know, there's a method behind the templates, this is just tried and true selling techniques that have been true for years. When I began studying sales copy, I was reading books from people, you know, that were big people in the 50s. You know, these things have not changed because they're based on psychological principles. Not to get all scientific on everyone again, but I think I did that in the last session a little bit, and I got a little psychology happy. But, you know, when we talk about structure, there's like an actual specific psychological flow that we're trying to get your customers to go through. So when Debbie's saying, you know, don't change up the structure, that's what we mean. There's a reason why we put things in a specific order. You know, you want your customer to feel this way before they feel this way, and by doing that, that's going to make it a lot easier for them to say yes when they start to see your buy button. So just so you guys kind of have a bigger picture of that. This isn't just something that's ScriptDoll specific. This is something in the big world of marketing that's huge. So.
Yeah, and the webinar yesterday, people were commenting, it was called the 8 Fists of Marketing Doom. Okay, so we have a replay of that went out today, actually. So definitely check that out because it was really, really good. Okay.
Actually, if you guys look into the chat box there, our lovely Ashton has given you guys a link to the replay. So
awesome.
You guys have access to it once we're done this call.
Yeah, after this call for sure, because it is different from what we're talking about today. So, alrighty, we're almost done here, guys. We're not going to keep you for too much longer, but this is really important too. So, another thing you want to kind of keep in mind is to know your customers and your market. So, like, if you're in the IM niche, people are wise to gimmicky phrases. Like, I know, Kayla, like, one of the phrases that I hate, oh my God, I'm so anti this phrase. I just can't stand it. Who else wants blah, blah, blah? Who else wants to make $5 million in 5 minutes? I think that's like the worst. I don't know. I'm sorry if any of you still use this, but I can't with this headline anymore. I don't know. I can't see it working too much. It's just so old school. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you'll read a lot of like headline stuff, and it'll give you some tried and true headlines. And the thing is like, yeah, this one drives me crazy, but it works in certain scenarios, which is why people keep recycling them. So usually, as kind of a general rule that I like to give people is when you see the headline formulas that are, you know, who else wants or how to do this in this time frame and whatever, like use those as a what's the word, a building block to actually, you know, creating your headline. Just take it for what it is, yeah. Because sometimes, you know, phrases like this, they can work in the right scenario with the right market, but then sometimes they can also turn people off. Obviously, Debbie has very much displayed her distaste for this one, so if you get any Debbie in your market,
but this is for the IM niche. But if you're in like a weight loss niche or you know, a public speaking niche, it might work fine. So it really, everything kind of has its place. I think this has been beaten to death, I think, in the IM space, but in another market, it might work. Okay?
Yeah.
So what
this
works?
Just illustrates the importance of knowing your market really well. And that's why putting your personality into it can really help, because, Debbie, you're very familiar with the IM niche, so you know that people in the IM niche don't like to hear who else wants because it drives everyone nuts. Whereas if you were writing, you know, in the diet niche, I don't know anything about the diet niche, so I'm not familiar with that one, but, you know, it might work. But you would know that if you knew your market. So.
Exactly. Yeah, and like we say here, like what works in one niche may work in another niche or may not work in another niche. So you're, you know, just be careful, and, you know, it's all testing, but for different markets, different copy.
You got some fellow haters of the Who Else Wants in here as well, Debbie.
Thank you.
You're not alone.
Yeah. Who else wants $5 million in 5 minutes? No. I'm going to answer no all the time, even if it's something I do want.
Just to be spiteful.
And this is kind of what I was alluding to before, like hot traffic versus cold traffic. So if you have hot traffic, like your existing customers, your list, your subscribers, people who know you, obviously you can be a little bit more fluid and you could talk to people a little bit easier than you can with maybe people who don't know you from Adam, right? So you might have to build a little bit more authority. You might not have, you know, use, you know, phrases that you might use with people. It's just like anything, right? With people who know you, you're going to be more comfortable than people who don't know you. So, I mean, also, as a general rule of thumb, you know, you're going to convert better with people who, you know, already know you, already know your work. So, you know, you might have to do a little bit more credibility building, authority building inside your copy if you are going to be, you know, sending your stuff to people who don't know you at all, okay? So, and that's something that I do too. Like if I try things in different markets, I have to, you know, be a little, not like more serious, but, you know, it's just a different tone than if I'm like sending an email or I'm doing a video for my subscribers, right? So, you know, you kind of just have to know your market in a sense of who's reading your stuff. Is it people who know you or don't know you? So that is it for the actual slides and the presentations. And we want you guys to do now is put your questions in the question box now, because you want to take advantage of the fact that you're hanging out with us live. We're here to answer your questions. We want to get everything answered for you, clarified. So, even if it doesn't pertain to what we talked about today, go ahead and write it. We're here. We're hanging out for a little bit. We got a little bit more time here. We like to keep it about an hour or so. So, go ahead and write your questions, whatever you have, whatever you want us to answer. In the meantime, for some people who are not part of our ScriptDoll family, we do have a limited time offer right now for you to kind of get in before the price goes up. I believe that happens on March 1st. If you check out the webinar from yesterday, Dr. Ben does talk about some of the deadlines that he has going on with ScriptDoll and how the price will be going up and how we are going to be doing different tiers and everything like that. We're really changing the structure of the ScriptDoll program. So right now, if you're on this call, you're on this webinar, you're really lucky if you're lucky if you're a part of ScriptDoll already, but you're also lucky if you're not, because this is a great chance to kind of jump in right now and take advantage of the pricing before it goes up. And for those of you who know Dr. Ben, you know that he sticks to his word when he kind of says when the price is going up. You know that awful video that comes on that says, sorry you missed this offer, and your heart just sinks because you're like, damn it, why didn't I take advantage of it while it was open? So, obviously this is not like a crazy pitch fest webinar. We just want to, make you aware that if you're not part of ScriptDoll, that it's a great time to do so. And we're adding every single week. We add new templates. We add new templates, new profiles, what we call. If you're not as familiar with ScriptDoll, I don't want to kind of bore a lot of people here. Can you guys hear me? I just want to make sure. Some people are saying I'm cutting out. Okay, good. We don't want to bore you because a lot of people said that you are already members, but check out this page here and you'll see all the different features and functions of ScriptDoll that we have for you, and the new features that we have coming out all the time, every single week. And of course, the dedication that our team has with things like what we're doing today, right, Kayla? The office hours that we're doing. Like, we talk about heart, we're pouring our heart out to you guys. I mean, this is an amazing thing because it's going to help everybody that is part of our ScriptDoll family, like, just sell better or sell more, up their conversions. And I don't know, I know Kayla is like the master at copywriting. Me, I'm a student of copywriting. I look at everybody's copy every single day of how can I make my copy better? And it's something that you always have to work on, and you can always work on to get better and better and better. And imagine you're part of ScriptDoll and you become a genius copywriter, and you could now help other people become better copywriters. There's just so much opportunity here that we are so excited to share it with you guys, and we hope that you see that. So that's enough for my crazy rant on how much I'm obsessed with ScriptDoll. So
we got a couple of questions in here. We had one earlier that I really wanted to touch on, and someone asked about conversion rates and what is a good conversion rate. And I feel like such a jerk every time I give these great answers, but just something that you guys really need to think about when you're worrying about conversion rates is there's so many factors that go into it, and it totally depends on a bunch of things. So a 4% conversion rate could be absolutely terrible for some people, where it could be really, really good for others. So you have to consider what kind of traffic you're sending to the offer. You have to consider whether it's an upsell. Upsells generally have much higher conversion rates than your front-end offer. So there's a bunch of different variables that go into it. Because I know we kind of touched on Debbie's conversion rate today, and that was really good, but that was great for the traffic you were sending, right, Debbie? So
Yeah.
that's what we're kind of comparing it to. So when you're worried about conversion rates and stuff like that, like it totally depends on a bunch of different variables, but our goal today wasn't necessarily to help you shoot for one specific conversion rate. Today we really wanted to help you increase your conversion rate and get better results than what you might currently be having. So just so you guys, I just wanted to kind of clear that up.
That's an awesome clarification too, because you also reminded me, like, let's say you're selling a $2,000 product and you have a 4% conversion rate. That's pretty darn good, right?
Right, whereas a 4% conversion on a $9 product might not be so great.
No.
Right. Those are things you want to...
It also, your price point has a lot to do with it too, for sure.
Another question we've had a lot too, actually, that we've actually gotten a bunch of times, is people asking about specific templates for a specific niche. And just to kind of clarify this, because I totally understand where that question comes from, but you actually have a lot of control as a ScriptDoll user over, like, you dictate what the templates are about. When Debbie and I and Ben create templates, we do so in a way that really helps you. But you'll see that there's some that are a little bit more specific for certain markets. But something like our Web 3.0 sales letter or just our general sales letter, a lot of the VSLs, the video sales scripts, those are written so that you dictate what they're about. So I can see somebody's asking me about writing for like an educational market. When you go and you create your profile about your product, that's actually going to dictate what that template then does and what it talks about in the niche and everything like that. So a lot of the templates inside ScriptDoll are very versatile in that sense. So you don't need a specific niche template in order to make ScriptDoll work for you. So that's something that was really important to us as we were creating the templates, just to kind of clarify on that, because we've got that question a few times. So I hope that.
So we have a question that someone asked. I have little known online presence and want to make the contact with offline school principals.
That's actually what that was the question that I was just referencing. So there you go, Chris. I hope that answers your question. So when you go to create your profile about school principals, whatever your product may be, that's going to dictate then what your sales letter is about. So you'll be able to definitely use ScriptDoll to its full advantage. Someone asked about creating training video that explains the various scripts. Actually, if you go to the ScriptDoll blog, we'll post a link in here for you, but every script inside ScriptDoll actually has its own blog post with a blog that explains it, as well as a video tutorial from me, Debbie, or Ben that explains the use of the script, what it's good for, how to use it. So we actually already have training videos specific to each script, and we always do that before we ever release them so that you guys know how to use them in full effect.
All right. Somebody asked, should every campaign, every sales funnel have a split test implemented? And which one works best? I would say, I don't know. I'll just answer this as a personal, like what I did. Like at first when I started, I did not split test because I just, getting everything done in an original format just the first time was like a lot for me. But now as you get better and as you want to increase your conversions and make more sales, and also the tools that we have right now that literally give us the ability to clone something that we already have existing and split our traffic 50%, like with changing just like one headline, I think it's a good idea. So I don't want to overwhelm people and say yes, everything should be split tested, but right now with the technology that we have at our fingertips, it makes it so freaking easy to do so that if you just change your headline, change like one thing about your sales letter, even if it's like the color of something, and then just split test that, and it's fun too the more you kind of do it. I would say, yeah, go for it, but don't overwhelm yourself with split testing everything because you won't ever get anything done. Okay, so it was kind of like an ambiguous answer, and just like know what your comfort level is, and don't go too crazy split testing everything. But if you do have the technology that makes it easy, then do it.
We have a question from Tina asking about building niche websites, but she wants to be invisible. We actually have designed the script, and actually this was like ridiculously exciting for us at ScriptDoll, and hopefully for a lot of our customers too, but we just added a feature where you can export your video sales scripts directly into, sorry guys, I think a landscaper just came out as I'm answering, because I hope that feedback isn't bothering you guys. But basically, we just implemented a feature that will allow you to export your script directly into PowerPoint. So when you guys see those video sales scripts, we use them a lot where it's just simply Ben reading off the slide, and those convert very well for us. So if you don't want to show your face, Tina, you can use something like that, and ScriptDoll actually has it all implemented already so that you don't have to worry about that.
I believe Keynote opens PowerPoint document, right? Or do you have to import it into Google first and then export it? I can't remember because I saw.
Well, it exports as a. It'll export as a. Guys, I'm really sorry. I do not know why buddy out there decided to do this right now.
I don't hear him. So.
Okay, good. Because he's like, it's just extremely distracting for me. Oh my goodness. It exports it as a .ppt file, I think is the file extension. So whatever your computer defaults to open it, it should work just fine. So I think Keynote is like PowerPoint, right? Like the Mac version or something.
Right.
Yeah, those are, like I use a Mac and I've got Pages and Word and everything else, and as long as it has the proper file extension, it'll just open in whatever the appropriate program is.
Great. Now, Mark, if you just clarify what type of ads you're talking about. That's your question.
Sonia asks, we'll just do a few more questions, guys, and then we'll wrap this up because we don't want to keep you guys too long. But Sonia's asking what to do if you are new and you don't have case studies or testimonials. One of the things you can do was actually what I was saying earlier about kind of using honesty in your sales copy, is if you want to, you can offer some kind of discount and just let your customers know in the sales copy that basically you're giving them a discount in exchange for a testimonial. Just be blunt and honest about it. We've used that if we've launched a new product that we don't have any testimonials for yet, and we're just kind of giving a first-time buyer's discount on it. That's usually kind of my go-to line whenever I'm writing stuff. So that's a really great way to get testimonials from people, is just offering them a discount in exchange. So
absolutely. And you can definitely reach out to people to give them copies of whatever you have that are in your niche, and you can have people really write an honest review about what you're doing. Everybody starts out new, so at some point or another. So it is definitely possible to succeed even if you're new.
We're just being asked about if that honesty would be good for getting book reviews. Of course, why not? Put it out there. People would rather you be honest with them. Like, think about when we're, you guys are obviously are on our email list for the office hours. Otherwise, I don't know how else you would have heard of them, unless it's a Twitter or something. But we're just kind of blunt and honest. Every time I write an email, let you guys know about it, or Ben writes an email, like we just kind of put our heart out there. We've got nothing to hide. So if you don't have any book reviews and you're looking for some, use that to your advantage and just be honest with people. And then that gives you that kind of personality that's going to attach them. Think about the people in your life that you're attached to, the people that add value to your life. Those are the people that you keep them around because they add value in some way, right? So your customers are very much the same way. By putting that kind of personality into your sales copy, they're going to feel attached to you. Just yeah, be honest and use it to your advantage. It's a great way to collect testimonials. So.
Yeah.
All right.
There's stuff that we can talk about that goes way beyond these like two elements that we kind of talked about today. And trust me, you know, if it exists in copy, we're going to talk about it. But I think that we should leave it at this for today. And not seeing many more questions coming in. So if you have your final questions, bring them in right now because we're ready to kind of wrap this up, let everyone kind of go and take action. And guys, like, this is something that I know for me, you know, I got to beat this stuff into my head every single day, and it's not something that you just like, oh, one day you just wake up and know. It's putting this stuff into practice and just doing it every single day until you get better and better and better, and then 5 years pass and now you're teaching other people, right, how to convert better with their copy. It's amazing how it works. So, and it's fun. So, we want to thank you for joining us today, hanging out with us, making us feel great. And Mark has one question, but I'm not quite sure if he's talking. Do you know what he's talking about, Kayla? With ads? I'm not sure. You be more specific what you're talking about, what you're asking, Mark. We could help you. In general, though, how to use ScriptDoll for ads. If you know, basically what ScriptDoll does is it helps you draft your features and benefits. And if you want to translate that into a specific ad that you're writing, that's probably the best way to do that. One of the plans that we have is to actually do an ad template for like Facebook posts, things like that. We have not done that yet because there are other templates that people are asking for that we've kind of put into the priority right now, like different email sequences and different video sales letters that people are asking. But the users of ScriptDoll, what they're doing is they're kind of taking tidbits and bits and pieces of the copy that that ScriptDoll already writes for them, and then just translating that into like a little advertisement, like a Facebook post, things like that. So that's one of the things that you can actually do. Use ScriptDoll is literally just take it from what we're already providing you and translate that into an ad. Okay. We can definitely help you further, Mark, if you want, and write into our help desk. We can help you further with your question. And if you're not already a member, we can kind of walk you through how that actually works. So we're always here to help. But we're going to wrap this up now, guys. We had so much fun today. It's really exciting, these sessions, and we love helping and interacting with you guys. And thank you so much for hanging out with us. We really appreciate your time, and we will see you on the next office hours call.
The next office hours call, just so you guys know, is going to be March 12th, same time, and these are going to be running regularly every other week, and we'll of course send a reminder to your inbox. So just, if you don't remember, that's cool. We'll make sure to remind you guys. So thanks for hanging out with us.
Yep. We'll see you next time, guys.